Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I haven't done one of these videos in quite a long time actually, but we are going to be talking about a subject near and dear to my heart today. Books. That's right, it's another Books a la Mode video. I'm kind of reformatting a lot of stuff on my channel, but Books a la Mode videos are definitely something that I want to keep. I just want to redo the kind of like introduction, but to get on with it so that this video isn't super crazy rambly or anything like that. For those of you who may not know, basically this is kind of like an online book club of sorts, but the great thing is that you read at your own pace, at your own time. If it takes you a day to finish a book, you just have to wait for the video to come out and then we can discuss it in the comments. And if it takes you a year to finish a book, watch the video when that year is over. It doesn't matter how fast or slow you read, you watch this kind of review discussion video when you want to and when you can. So that being said, this video does contain major spoilers, and so will all of the comments. I do ask everyone that they contain their spoilers to this book. So if you're not sure, if you've read a lot of these books back to back, if you're not sure where a spoiler is, look it up, and or like make sure that you really say that you don't know if this is a big spoiler for the next book or whatever, because we are all reading these books at our own pace. But I'm assuming that if you're here that you've read this book. I announce what book I am currently reading on my Goodreads, my Instagram, my Snapchat, and on Twitter. Sorry, I had to think about that last one. I was really confused. Today we are going to be talking about Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I'm hoping I'm saying her last name correctly. Like I said, I really liked this book. I didn't know if I was going to, honestly. I saw this in stores a while ago because obviously it's not new by any means. And I was like, okay, another dystopian teen novel. Awesome. And I'm actually going to put, or I actually posted a picture about like dystopian teen novels. It's a comic. I do not own it. It's on my Facebook page. That is in the links down below, so you should go check that out and give it a like. But it's, again, I was kind of like, okay, bleh, whatever, another dystopian teen novel. But then I saw all of this, I guess, this stuff surrounding it. Apparently there's been rumors that it might be turned into a TV show. I saw that just like randomly on a forum or something like that. And there was the official Red Queen coloring book that was put out, and there was just kind of like all this hype surrounding it. And I was kind of like, holy crap, like, okay, like, let me give it a shot. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? I could go and I could waste a couple days of my life, not like it. But I didn't waste a couple days of my life. I think I finished this book in like 3 days because it was so freaking good and I could not put it down to save my life. And I actually really enjoyed it. And now I have the Red Queen coloring book, which you would know if you watched my last video here. So at first I wasn't like so into it, again, because it's kind of like that, you know, plain girl does everything for everyone else and then all of a sudden she meets a handsome man and her life changes. But Mare becomes so much more than that. She really steps into kind of like herself, and she's so lost, but she knows where her values lie. And even sometimes she doubts herself, but she also, you know, she does make decisions, and she knows that, you know, hey, well, what if this decision becomes just total crap and a bunch of people die from it? Like, and she takes on that mantle, she takes on that responsibility. Which is just kind of like, kind of crazy to imagine. I think one of the things that I like most about the book is that while obviously it is a fantastical story, it's also almost like realistic in a way. It's in an age of technology, so they have this, you know, they have all these broadcasts and stuff like that, and when her powers are revealed and for everyone to see, the king can't cover it up, so that's why he doesn't just kill her. And for me, that kind of made sense. And you know, when people are tortured, or when bad guys, or when the good guys are caught, sometimes they die. And that's just, you know, kind of part of it. Sometimes the good guys wound up being the bad guys. I think Maven being the, like, betrayer prince the whole time was probably one of the biggest twists of the century, because you didn't know. And for a second there, I was kind of like, holy crap, like in the scene where she's in, like, the big ballroom feast or whatever, and she's, like, meeting all the people that Maven had pointed out to kill, and she's, like, talking about how good they are. I was like, you know what, like, that would be a natural response to anybody, I think. Like, even the most horrible person, I think in that moment before their death, when you know you've sentenced them to die, you're probably gonna go, oh, like, shit, but there's all these good things about them. What if they're not supposed to die? What if they have, you know, what if they're supposed to do this? They have children, they have wives, they have lives. You think about those things. So at first I was like, oh crap, like, these seem like good people, you know, they have families and stuff like that. But again, it's from Mare's perspective. It's from the perspective of someone who has just essentially sentenced these people to death, and she doesn't really know them. So she is seeing them as humans, up close and personal. And that's a really scary thing, especially for a teenager. Probably one of the best surprises was when Shade came back, obviously. Like, that being a total book nerd and loving knowledge and learning, I think that Julian was probably one of my favorite characters. I will say that I don't think that there should have been characters that had mind control, just because I think that power is limitless. If Queen, I think her name was Alara, I think. If she can get into your head, can't she just say, like you're a silver princess, like, this is who your family is, blah, 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 and just force you to believe it? Or couldn't she just mind control her to go out and walk out in front of everybody and be like, death to the king, and try and stab him, and then the guards could have shot her on sight, and then their problem would have been over, and it would have just been like, oh, like, this was just a horrible, like, trick by Reds and blah, 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 blah. You know, even when they went and at the part where they caught Farley and named Wade, last name, one of the servants and stuff like that, like, couldn't Alara just go in and read their minds and figure out that it was, you know, Maven and Mare who did all of this, who planned all of this, who picked all the people, you know, everybody in the Scarlet Guard, and just send them out. Like, I think that her power is very limited in this series, and maybe in Aveyard's head it has its limitations. Maybe, you know, they're not, maybe mind readers in this story aren't all powerful, but you know, when I think of a mind reader and I think of somebody, like, going into somebody else's head, you know, they always go and they always talk about, you know, oh, you can put blocks up in your head, or you can block out those things. But for me, as soon as you go and as soon as you think about it, it doesn't matter if, you know, you're like, oh, like, oh, I shouldn't think about shade. Sheep, 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 sheep. Even if you're thinking about sheep, part of your brain is still thinking about shade because you're thinking about sheep because you're thinking about shade, that sort of thing. So I think that, you know, the whole like putting blocks up thing is kind of BS personally, but that's not in just this novel, that's throughout all mind control scenarios. I liked the dynamic between Maven and Mare and Cal, and definitely the spookiness, kind of, not spookiness necessarily, but kind of that tension, and you were kind of like wondering like what was happening. I do like the fact that it wasn't just bogged down with a lot of politics. I find that sometimes a lot of these dystopian novels, they put these young people into positions of power and then like they make these awesome political decisions. And I think probably the biggest political decision that Mare had to make, Mare technically didn't make it, Maven made it in picking the people out. And even then, he obviously went to Queen Alara and was like, hey, like this is what's happening, like who should I pick, sort of thing. So even then, I don't personally think that it was even Maven who picked the people out. Overall, I think that this book was really good. I have already read the second one, not gonna lie, but I won't give any spoilers. Will be our next Books a la Mode video, so make sure that if you have not read that one, that you read that one. And I hope that you like this video. Let me know what your favorite part of the book was. Let me know what you think about Cal. Who are you? Are you team Cal, team Maven, or are you team Mare? Are you team Shade? just leave them all in the dust. Hang with your brother the rest of your life. Like that sounds like a plan to me. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you do, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure to share it with your friends. And if you want to be a part of an online book club that is a read at your own pace sort of thing, then make sure that you hit the subscribe button. And we do these quite often. So I'm happy to be back at it, happy to be back into this, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!